My name is Ray.
Hi, this is Michael.
Welcome to another episode of Ray's Economics Clue Book. Today, we're continuing our topic on elasticity. Last time we talked about the most fundamental type of elasticity, price elasticity
of demand.
Yes,
last time we just for the same product. Okay?
Yes. But this time we talk about two other types of important elasticity that relate, that talk about more than just outside of that one product market.
All right.
So first, talk about cross-price elasticity demand. Cross-price elasticity demand, basically the elasticity relating to a product relating to the price of another product. Now, of course, we're talking about two types of product relations: substitutes and complements. First, let's talk about complements. Complements, as a review, you might remember, complements are basically when the price of one good falls, the demand for another good increases. Basically, you can think of these goods are most likely used in conjunction with each other.
Exactly.
So there are close complements and weak complements. Close complements, obviously, it's pretty intuitive. That means they are more closely related as complements. A small fall in price of A causes a large rise in demand for product B. Weak complements, on the contrary, a large drop in price of product E only causes a small rise in demand for F.
Yes. So basically, we can see that we don't have a really perfect example, but for the strong complements, we can say, hey, like ink cartridge and a color printer, because of course, color printer needs a lot of, from time to time, cartridges. When the ink cartridge price reduced by 10%, then color printer demand is expected to increase a lot more. Okay, because the maintenance cost drops so much.
And so basically, we look at ink cartridges and color printers, right? For this example, let's look at this. So let's say if the price for product A drops a little, that means the demand for product B increases a lot in this graph. It's the close complement. Weak complement, we look at it graphically. A weak complement, we look at a large drop in price of product E. Only results in a small increase in price of product F. What this implies basically is the price of product E is not that closely that large of a factor in the demand for F, although it's still a factor. However, however, for close complements, the prices of product A is a very strong factor in the demand for product B. Now, what is cross-price elasticity of demand then? Last time we only talked about price elasticity of demand. Cross-price, as you might imagine, basically is crossing the price elasticity over into another product market. So basically, in this case, we look at two products, A and B. Cross-price elasticity demand, basically the change in quantity demand for A over the quantity demanded A over the quotient or the ratio of the change in quantity product price B over the price B. So relative change in demand for A over relative change in price for B.
Percentage change.
And this is basically very similar to the price elasticity demand model, except we're looking at two different goods now.
Exactly. So it's always less than zero for complements because, of course, it's just they are complemented with each other. Like a weak complements, we have an example like it's not perfect, but it's still a good example like a coffee and a creamer, right? So when the coffee price reduced, then the demand for creamer may increase a little bit.
And so basically what we're looking at here, it's always less than zero, it's always negative. Why? Because the increase in demand corresponds to a fall in price. So the change in price is negative, while the change in demand is positive. So obviously your overall ratio, cross-price elasticity of demand is going to be negative. And so now here's a little question for those at home. How would the cross-price elasticity demand for a strong close complement compare with that of a weak complement? And that's a question you can ponder over at home. It's very intuitive. So let's look at substitutes. Substitutes we talk about basically are the opposite of complements. The increase in the price of one good, basically a small rise in the price of one good versus a rise in demand for another good. They are used in opposite of each other. They're substitutes in the name, substitutes.
Basically it means competitive.
So close substitutes are basically the same as close complements, except on the contrary. A small rise in price of product X causes a large rise in demand for product Y. Contrary to weak substitutes, a large rise in the price of S only leads to a small increase in demand for product T. So basically, we can see here, price for close substitutes is price for one good is a strong factor in the demand for another good. And price for one good in a weak substitute is only a small factor or a light factor in the demand for another good.
Again, we have some example. They're not perfect, but let's say close substitute. Let's say cable and Netflix, because cable price increased a little bit. A lot of people will flock to Netflix. And coffee and tea, because here in America, people most of the time drink coffee. They don't really drink tea a lot. But when coffee price increases substantially, and then the demand for the tea will increase
to an extent. However, it won't be definitely won't be as strong as cable and Netflix.
Yeah, of
which
course,
are used,
yes.
Which both are used a lot more in America.
Oh, yeah.
While
Oh, yeah.
coffee is mainly Mark mentioned dominant drink in America. Tea is
Sure.
tea is the
Tea
secondary.
is very
drink.
optional.
Yeah.
So, but
So
we
for the
noticed
cross-price
that.
elasticity demand, because a rise in price corresponds with the rise in demand from the other good, we basically positive over positive. Basically, we see the change in price is always positive, the change in demand is always positive for the other good. So the cross-price elasticity demand is larger than zero.
Sure.
So this is basically think of the complements and think of the exact opposite when it comes to the mathematical values. So finally, we have income elasticity demand. What is income elasticity demand? Well, basically, is demand elasticity measured relative to the income level within an economy.
Sure.
So we talk about there are luxury goods, normal goods, and inferior goods. Luxury goods are where goods, basically, as your income increases more, you obviously demand a lot more of them.
Yeah.
And normal goods are basically the same thing, except to a lesser extent.
Yes.
And inferior goods are the opposite. Inferior goods, basically, your income level decreases and demand increases.
Yeah.
So to put it maybe more bluntly, basically, when you're poorer, you more need to get these goods.
Yeah, we actually have discussed that before. But let's say when the IEOD is more than 1, which means when your income increase by 10%, and your demand for the product may increase more than 10%, maybe 20%. For example.
So basically, we look at here. Delta QA, delta quantity demanded A over quantity demanded A over the change in income level over overall income level. So the relative change in demand over the relative change in income level. So for luxury goods, talk about the income elasticity of demand is larger than 1 because as income increases, your demand increases by a lot compared to income increase. For normal good, this is still positive, but between 0 and 1 because while your demand increases and income increases, it's not as drastic as a luxury good.
Yeah. We actually luxury goods. We already made an example before, like a secondary home. Normal goods is pretty common, like food and clothing. Inferior goods, as Ray mentioned, actually like potatoes, hamburgers.
And so very basically, it's probably very obvious now, but just for you to quickly think about, if income elasticity demand is less than 0, is negative, what type of good is this? Basically, quantity demand, change in quantity demand is less than or smaller compared to change in quantity of is negative compared to change in quantity of income relative level. So this is very, very obvious example. So for our final clue is basically cross-price elasticity demand and income elasticity demand are two things to talk about today. Cross-price elasticity of demand measures demand sensitivity with another cross-product change in price. We have the relative levels here. And income elasticity demand is basically you replace the cross product with income level. So basically measures demand sensitivity relative to change in income.
So I think these two graphs actually summarize all the discussions that we just presented. I think they are very efficient and they're very interesting here. And so it's hopefully you guys can just check in those graphs. And then just summarize all those materials. And see you next time. Bye bye.